Zasha, how are you?
Aloha, Mark. How
How's
are
it?
you doing?
I'm sitting here in really gray Southern California. It's ugly outside. It's drizzly, has been for 3 months now, and I can't wait to get back to Hawaii next week. So, yeah,
Yeah,
how
it's
are you?
good seeing you out here. I miss you being here because you came to
I'm,
Maui, you came to Oahu.
yeah, we'll be in Oahu I'm trying to talk Yuko into 2 weeks, and we'll see what happens. She can't be away from Lucy that long, so
Mm-hmm.
Lucy the dog. So, no, we'll try to either get over there or maybe you can pop over for dinner or something.
Of course.
Yeah, yeah. So how's it been going? I haven't seen you physically since last year at Maui Mastermind.
It's been going well. I'm starting to get into the syndication space and partnering
Yes.
on larger projects, raising a lot of capital. So it's been different than, being how I started investing, just being really active in acquisitions, part of it, working with realtors and homeowners. So
Hmm.
it's been nice because I've been able to really get things going on their own, build teams.
Yeah. So I want to for those people out there that don't know who you are, introduce yourself, and also your story is really wonderful. You've got 60 seconds to go. I'm joking.
Aloha, everybody. My name is Zasha Smith, aka Invest with Zasha. Go follow me on Instagram. No,
Yes, please
but
do.
I am raised here on Maui in Hawaii. I grew up in low income housing, raised by a single mom, put myself through college after graduating from Maui High School, went to California for a little bit, and had my first daughter while I was in college.
Hmm.
But I learned, just to persevere. It was so funny because there's this story of me, and I wish I, would have took more pictures back then, but riding my beach cruiser to class with the baby seat in the back. And
Oh my
at Cal State
God.
Long Beach, they actually had a daycare center on campus. So I would
That's so
drop her
cool.
off, go to class, and then pick her up. And we live nearby. But after graduating with my bachelor's degree in civil engineering, I moved home just for more help and to be back in Hawaii.
Time out. Civil engineering. Back up a little bit. After
Okay.
getting my degree in civil engineering, so you come from low income housing, single mom, and you take one of the hardest. That's a hard load of classes to take. What in God's name made you decide to do that? That's hard.
Well, initially I wanted to be a counselor. So I got a job as a counselor in this civil engineering department. And my
Hmm.
boss was pro women engineers. And she told me, well, why don't you take some classes? And I was like, I'm not that smart. Like, I'm not an engineer or whatever. And she's like, well, if you want to move back home to Hawaii, you got to be a doctor, lawyer, or engineer. So you might as well try to take some classes. And at that time, I
Hmm.
was already helping the students that were getting low grades in their classes. So I took a few and I really actually liked it because the concept of math and science, I mean, 1 + 1 = 2. So it's very clear and defined versus psychology is so open ended. So that's kind of
Hmm.
what made me pick it and realizing that, yes, I needed to have a high paying um, major or like job in order to live here. So
What
that's
what
why I
year
picked it.
is what year did you graduate? If you don't mind me asking.
Yeah, 2009.
2009. Okay.
Hmm. From
2009.
college.
And what does an engineering paycheck look like when you're just out of college?
That was about 60,000 a year.
Okay. So probably the equivalent of about what, 80 or 90 grand now? Something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, in California that's tough to live on, especially for a family. That's a
Hmm.
tough paycheck to live on. You don't qualify for a lot of mortgages with that kind of income. So,
Yeah.
all right. So, but 60 grand a year is not bad.
Right.
It's passable. It's passable. Okay, so you get your degree, you come back to Maui, and you love being an engineer, and you can't wait to do it for the rest of your life, right?
Moved home, worked as a civil engineer for 10 years. And I think, like you had mentioned, just realized one, I mean, it was a good amount of money, but definitely not enough to be
Mm-hmm.
able to raise a family, get the kids into good schools, all the sports, and just kind of get by and have some vacations. And I was working 60 to 70-hour weeks in charge
Jeez.
of large projects, hotel renovations, subdivisions, and even shopping center remodels. So I was started going to work on Saturdays and then on Sundays. And that's
Oh my
when
God.
I knew, okay, something had to change because I was on a salary.
So you, no bonuses, no brownie points for showing up for more,
I
like
think
an
I
event.
got 500, maybe an extra $500 for like Christmas bonus.
Ooh, nice.
Cash. So I didn't have to pay taxes.
So that's the funny thing. That's good. That's amazing because most people don't do that. But so that's the one thing about investing is that you can decide how much you want to make, right? I think people that are just beginning go, yeah, Mark, it doesn't work that way. It's like, yeah, no, it really does. It's the amount of effort you put in. So you switched so you decided, okay, so keep going. You decided that wasn't enough for you. I just hit the light. That wasn't enough for you, but what did you do next?
So I started Googling like everybody else does. So how to get rich and like quit your job and look some alternatives.
I
And
remember that.
I actually
Wait. What did you, I'm sorry, interrupt. What did you actually Google? I'll be curious.
How to quit my job and still
Okay.
make money.
Okay. I was how to make money fast.
Yeah.
How to make money fast. So,
It
okay.
was some sort of Google search that led me to different high income earners who had real estate. They weren't necessarily real estate investors, but I found it piqued my interest because I was like, well, they must have been from money in order to buy all these homes because it was hard enough for us to buy our first home in Hawaii. How are all these other people qualifying and doing it? So that's what popped up. And then I started researching, came upon Bigger Pockets, started listening to all the podcasts, the typical read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And the book in itself is okay, but it's just, I think the overall concept.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, it got me going too. It got me going. But I mean, once I got past the first couple of weeks, I went, oh, that book was kind of, but it pushed me. It really did.
Right.
So
it just got you thinking about the rat race and then your potential as a business owner and, as a realtor, investor, whatever the case may be, as far as you control your destiny, you control how much you make. It's not set by anybody else. And I think that was a big epiphany for me is that even though I was putting in all these extra hours, I wasn't necessarily getting paid more or there wasn't real bonuses other than like I was looking at my life and I was at the time 30 working 60 to 70-hour weeks, seeing my boss go in even more than me. And I was like, that's going to be my life in a few years, So I don't think it was, and she was getting profit share and all that, but it just made me take a step back and realize what's important. I had, young kids and I wasn't really, always there and I was always tired. So it just made me realize that something needed to change. And so after I found out about, investing and real estate, I was like, hey, which way do I go? Do I go, crypto or Bitcoin or what everybody else is doing with stocks? Do I go this real estate realm? And after going through to a few meetups here on Maui, I realized, oh my gosh, this is possible right here in an expensive market. You don't have to, go out of state. You can actually potentially make more here.
So, I agree.
Talking to a few realtors at the meetups that I went to, there was one who I really clicked with, and he was like, you should just look on market and, appreciation. And so there was a few condos that were listed. And so I was like, well, it doesn't hurt. He's like, run your numbers, and I'll put in the offers for you. I don't mind. Because I did have that, I guess, feeling like, oh, if I talk to a realtor and put in these lowball offers, like I feel bad for them, right? That they have to write this and go through all that communication. But this guy was open to it. He was already investing. So he actually got me my first 2 deals off the MLS that were probably like 30 or 40,000 below what they were listed for. And one was a tired landlord and the other one was a foreclosure. So there is potential like to still make money on market and work with.
Oh God. Yeah. 70% of our deals come from MLS. They just do. We do very, very well on MLS. So you're 30 years old, you're just getting into this, but you're still working, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Still working full time.
fast forward a little bit, you get your first couple of deals. How long before you quit your job and you were comfortable enough to leave? You're married, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
And your
I
husband has an income, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So at the time, I was working full time as an engineer. My husband owned his own plumbing company, and he now has 10 employees. I think back then maybe he had 4, a warehouse, offices, all, like a full functioning business. And so I seen that. How is my husband able to have employees and have a full functioning business that's profitable? And still yet he's there more for the kids. He has more free time than I do. And I have like a very set schedule.
Yeah.
And so after I talked to him about, hey, I'm looking at investing, he was all for it. Like he wanted me to quit my job for the longest time, but I was always so scared. I was like, oh, what about my health insurance? And, we do everything, all of that through my job because he was an entrepreneur and single member LLC. So it would have cost a lot more. But after I did my first flip in 2019, I netted 103,000. And so I made more in 45 days.
What a great first flip. What a great first flip. That's so insane.
It took us 30 days to renovate and then 15 days to sell to a cash buyer. And that opened my eyes to, my God, crazy. I made more in 45 days than I made a whole year working my job, like 60 to 70 hour weeks. So that was
wait. Look, I'm going to interrupt you every once in a while just because I will have questions and I don't want to forget them. How stressed out were you when you bought that first house, A, and how stressful was doing the project and putting it up for sale and just the not knowing how it was going to work? How was that?
It was super stressful because I knew this could make or break us as far as me having options of quitting my job. So I was working full time and I would go to Lowe's on my lunch break. Afterwards, I would meet the contractors. I was doing a lot of things wrong, especially paying them cash, but they got it done quickly. So I didn't know. And then I also used a conventional loan to buy the property that I was going to flip. At that time, I didn't know when you say, oh, are you going to buy this as an investment property? That literally means like rental property, not really flipping. So it was my misunderstanding because when we went to sell the property and sign the final paperwork, the lender was like, wait, you just bought this and you're selling it? That you're not supposed to do that. And so I think it was a learning process, but at the same time, I knew I had such a conviction to quit my job and a strong reason why things needed to change that I didn't care what it took, even if I had to work on the weekends or, run to Lowe's and do dump runs or try to help the contractors, even though they told me get out the way. It was me being involved in the process, but it was stressful because, I seen a lot of potential in it. So I always suggest for people that are just starting out, like if you're really worried about like a huge fixer-upper that needs new roof, foundation issues, try and start with a condo. You don't have to worry about any of those big capital expenditures or the structural components. Like you just basically just a remodel of the inside. So I think
if you're in a market that works in, that's Hawaii is one of them. Southern California is definitely another one where condos work pretty well. So you got through this first one. You bought it right. You got the rehab done super quick, and it sold really, really fast. And you made $100,000. I mean, there's nothing. I mean, I'm sure there were some hiccups, but really nothing went wrong on this first one. Yeah. Now, so that was a dream, and you said, I want to do this every 3 months, right? I'm going to make $400,000 a year, and everybody's going to quit their jobs, and I can sit on the beach all day. And that's what you're doing now, right?
Of course. Drinking my coffee and,
Yeah. But no, the investing business is a little bit different than everybody thinks it is. I mean, there's always those pictures of people on their laptop on the beach. Yeah. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work. No,
and I think right now I'm at a point where I am getting into larger deals because I realize that talking to these homeowners, like the acquisitions part of it, where you get most of the meat, right? It's like how you make sure you buy it right, is also a lot of work. So like I spoke about, we got it off the MLS, but it doesn't mean we just made a few offers and, we got all the numbers right. It's like I probably made like 20 or 30 offers before landing one. So it does take some time.
Yeah.
And this was, in the prime 2019, I feel like before 2020 was a great market. And even 2021 was a great market. So it's all about the timing as well. So people know, and even right now is probably one of the hardest times to find deals, but they are out there. You just got to be consistent.
Oh yeah. They're selling well. I honestly really thought we'd have a turn in the market, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen anytime soon. Because interest rates in June of 2023, in case you're watching this in 2040, I know, and I still look so young. But June of 2023, we've got very little inventory. We've got a lot of people wanting to buy it, so it's a little bit more competitive right now. But the cool thing is if you can get it to work now, it's going to work so well when the market loosens up a little bit. I think we got that to look forward to.
I agree.
So okay, you got done with your first one, and you knew it was going to be easy from there on out. So you quit your job and put everything into this, right?
Quit my job in 2020, January 31st.
Wow.
Lucky girl.
Yeah.
Right before everything went, downhill.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I had a few properties that I had already under contract and I was going to wholesale it, but ended up having to keep it because of the pandemic. I had it under contract and the doctor was actually going to buy, it was a 4-unit property here. He was going to buy it for his nurses or staff whenever they come through, but he ended up shutting down his practice here. So I had to put on my big girl panties and do this $200,000 renovation when I only had done previously a $30,000 to $40,000 renovation. So that was exciting, but also stressful. And I knew it would cash flow. So whenever I do look at deals, I run them using different strategies. So say I want to flip it, does it also work as a rental property? Or if I'm going to rent it, could I also flip it just in case the numbers don't work out or I don't find a good tenant or I need to sell it for whatever reason, I need the instant cash. So
when did we start talking? I feel like it was right about then, because I remember there was a lot of stress in your life when we first started talking. And I think that must have been right then, because you had deals and everything. The market had kind of shut off. And I remember that really well. But you got through it. And I think that's worth talking about a little bit. Most people get in situations like that and either they just go bankrupt and walk away, or they get through it and go, I'll never do that again. What was it that made you keep going after that? Because I remember we talked a lot then. There was so much stress, and I was going through some too, but there's always stress in business. I don't care what business. If you run a hamburger stand, you're going to have a lot of stress. It's just part of having your own business. But what was it that got you through that, and what made you decide to stick with it? Was it the $100,000 you made on the first one, or?
I think it was just knowing that my whole goal was in the end to build wealth and have that more passive income. So I started off with flipping because I thought, okay, this is quick money. I can replace my active income. But I always wanted to get into rentals. I just didn't think that I was ready yet. So, the man above just kind of pushed me into it. And from there, I ended up fixing 1 unit at a time. And I wanted to put in people that had Section 8 or low-income rental assistance because I wanted to give back as well. And it actually ended up working out really well for me. So I fixed 1 unit, got it rented, fixed out the next unit, got it rented. And right there, just from the 2 units, it already paid the mortgage and paid any utilities that I had. So anything moving forward, the other 2 would be, of course, profit, and then also saving for those extra expenditures that you may run into, like a broken water heater or heating.
Yeah. On occasion.
So that's kind of when I realized the power of the more cash flow aspect of things, because I was trying so hard to replace my active income. I did that in like 45 days. I was like, okay, even if I only do 1 of these flips a year, like I've already replaced my salary. So yeah. I think that's what the realization was with that.
Is that about the time Brandon Turner decided to come over to Maui and spend time with you? That's why he moved there, right?
Yeah, of course. He heard I was here, so he wanted to be a part of it.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. Now that's kind of cool. You have a relationship with him, and you guys get to spend some time together. You and the Maui crew.
It was funny because I always wanted to be on Bigger Pockets, and I had been applying for years, and they never got back to me. And as soon as I met up with him, and he had some other mastermind things going, and I let him know, like, hey, I've always wanted to be on the podcast. And so he made a few phone calls, and the next month I was on it. But unfortunately, it was after he had already left the podcast. So I was on. But David Green and Robelt are still amazing people too.
Yeah, it's funny. They've still never had me on.
You gotta when you come to Maui and you see Brandon, you gotta.
I spent a week with Brandon. No, that's okay. That's fine. I'm good. Mark's fine.
Yeah.
So
you have your own podcast. This is an amazing platform right here.
Oh, this is fun, huh? I love this. I love to be able to say whatever I damn well please. I'm the boss here. Justin, can Yuko hear me when I say that? Because I don't want to say it too loud. Yeah. Yuko's the boss, but
right.
I'm the boss now. I am. So we're at 2000. We can talk about some other stuff, but I just love your story because it's everybody's story. It really, really is. I mean, not everybody grew up, with a single mom and worked their way through college and, with kids and everything. But the investing part, though, is very common. You do one. It's like when you get your real estate license. Your Aunt Betty gives you a listing. And it's like, dang, this is easy. I could do this all day. And you get maybe one more from a friend, and it's like, oh my God, I got 2 in a month. This is amazing. And then you get nothing else after that because you haven't done any work. And investing can be like that, but generally it's not. Generally, you don't do that well on your first one. So it's almost, I think it would almost be bad to do that well on the first one. That sounds weird, but your expectations are set at $100,000, and the next one you lose 15 grand, and it's like, ugh. So what happened on the next one, the very next flip you did? I know we fast forwarded a little bit, but just tell me about your second flip and how that went. And don't tell me you made 100 grand on that one either, because I'm just going to shut the phones off and we're done.
And move to Maui.
Yeah, move to Maui.
Actually, well, my next deal was actually a burr, and it was a 2-story home in Kihei. And that one, since I already bought a few rentals and I did have a savings from my first couple flips, I ended up buying a house. It was like $375. I think we got under contract, driving for dollars. So driving around neighborhoods.
How much?
$375,000
for a house.
Yeah.
In Maui.
Yeah. So as is, it was worth probably about $550 or $600. And this is in 2000, the end of 2020.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So end of 2020, find that one. And I really wanted to flip it. So my whole goal was like, okay, I flipped one, bought a rental, flipped one, wanted to kind of keep that progression. But this one was a slamming deal. I ended up turning it into a duplex. And that one also cost probably around $200,000 to fix up. To this day, I just got it refinanced because I took out another HELOC, and it appraised at $1.1 million. So in just a few years, the appreciation.
Okay, so you're just a blessed investor, and that's just the way it is.
Well, I could say that I have not lost money yet, knock on wood, on a deal, because I definitely look for quality over quantity. So while other investors are doing hundreds of deals a year, I can afford to kind of wait for the right ones, especially if it has to do with a flip. My best flip was in 2021, and that one I netted $230,000 on my own.
Let's touch on that for a minute, because last year was one of our best flipping years, but we did less flips than we've ever done, probably. And I totally subscribe to that. The quality of the flip is so much more important than the quantity of what you're doing. And it's like when people talk about how many doors they've got, it's just, I find that so stupid. It's like, I've got 8,000 doors. It's like, that means nothing. It means absolutely nothing if you're not making any money. And I know a lot of people that are just living on the edge because they've got so many doors but no cash flow. And I would much rather have fewer properties that have really good cash flow. And it's the same thing with flips. I love that you said that, because most people are looking for, how many flips did you do? How many doors do you have? It's always a numbers game. And that's not how you win this race, man. You win this race slow, steady, and profit. Make sure what you do is profitable. And we set a standard of $100,000 of flip minimum profit, and we did a couple last year that weren't that much, just because they were like your first one. It was like a month-long process, and then it sold right away, and it was like, yeah, I'll take 50 grand up. That's fine, especially when you've got a couple others going. But yeah, last year was amazing year. And we didn't do, I think we did 8, 10 flips, somewhere around there, 10 flips probably. That's it. And which is still a lot, but yeah, it's so profitable.
Well, it depends on what strategy you want to use as well. So last year, my first couple years, I did it on my own, and it was really stressful. And I think starting last year, I wanted to do partnerships because I didn't want all the responsibility to be on me. So last year I actually did the opposite. I did more. However, I split the profit. So I made like 40 to 50 each, maybe some around 80 each. But it definitely was an eye opener to how you can scale through just working with other people, but they have to be the right partnerships as well. There's been a couple that, one and done, but there's been a couple where we've been able to consistently work together.
Give us an example of a good partnership, because especially in Hawaii, I've had some issues over there. Man, have I had some issues over there. And what do you look for in a partner? How do you set that partnership up? And like you said, you have some that are continuing now. Just give us an idea of what that looks like, because I think a lot of people out there, whether it's just a new investor or a real estate agent that's getting into investing, they want to get started, but maybe they don't have enough guts to do it. And I get that, or they don't have the money, or they don't have the deal, or whatever the case may be. And they're looking at a partnership. How do you set that up? How did you find that?
So I think when you're newer, the best thing to do is to find a deal, because that's what a lot of people are looking for. And if you network enough, you'll be able to find the money. So for me, I focus on capital raising. So raising private money for deals, qualifying for some hard money deals, or even if it's a longer term deal like an SBA loan, or one that you need a certain amount of net worth to be able to get, like some commercial loans as well. That's where I step in. And so being very clear on what the roles, responsibilities, and expectations of each partner in the deal is key to making it successful. So for instance, for me, somebody brings me a deal, they're the boots on the ground, maybe in that market, on that island, in that state or city. And I am the one who kind of oversees the project. So raise the capital, like I said, raise the capital, qualifies for the capital, or brings the gap funding if we are using a hard money lender. And I oversee the timeline, the budget. They'll manage the construction, the project manage it, but they're basically no money into the deal. Like they found it. So however they found it, maybe they had to pay some fees for the programs, or, spend time talking with the seller and getting them to that point. But after that, I think a lot of people too do not like capital raising or asking people for money, or if it's their first deal, or if they have no renovation experience. Like I've partnered with people that have 10 rentals, but then they've never had renovation experience, so they can't qualify for the hard money loan. So there's those instances as well. So I think it's just being clear on what your roles and responsibilities. And then I'm always like, okay, it's 50-50, like 50-50. We're taking a chance together on this deal. And then if you want to move forward on your own, that's fine. We're not like committed in any sort of way to do more things together or make this like a business together. But I think that's the flexibility that I like as well, because if that project doesn't go well, then we can just split off and do our own thing.
So are you still doing those kinds of partnerships now, or are you just more into the raising capital side?
Very rarely, but when there is a good deal and they do have already a team in place. So that was my issue here in Hawaii, was that it's very hard to find good contractors. And I think that's a lot of people, or I don't think it's very hard to find them. It's hard to have them available for your projects, I would say.
Yeah,
Because
and I think it also the money side too. Really, really good contractors cost a lot of money. And it's not really conducive to flipping medium grade homes, right? It's just not. So, I mean, if you're doing super, super high end, maybe so, but I don't know. So anyway, so give us an idea of, so those are some of the relationships went well. Tell us about one that didn't go so well, that maybe we can learn something from, and what did you do to make it happen? Because obviously if it didn't go well, you had to fix it, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So one that I thought was going to be the one, right? I partnered with a contractor because I figured so hard to find contractors. If I partner with one of them, maybe this could be, a lasting relationship, and then we do more and more together, and then I'll have a reliable team.
Did you know him before?
Yes. Yeah. So he had worked on 2 of my previous flips and it was great. And then he was like, oh, I really wanted to get into investing. I was like, hey, let's next deal. Let's partner together. And then you can see the whole process and get to know it. Anyway, at the end, we ended up selling the end of, I think, last year. So when the market went a little bit down, and we made 40 grand each, but he was expecting to make a lot more just because he's seen the selling price. He's seen what we bought it for. He's seen the selling price. He discounted some of the renovations. And so I think his expectations were a lot higher than what actually happened. And so that was the end of that one. So I don't think it was necessarily bad. It was just a realization that as investors, we're not making that huge. If we sell it at $1 million and we bought it at 500, we're not making 500,000.
Right. And that's where TV does such a disservice to our industry. When you get Tariq, but you get these guys on there, and he's probably a little bit more honest than most, but you get these people on there and it's like, I bought it for this, I fixed it for this, and I sold it for this, and I made this. And it's like, well, wait. Didn't you have utilities and insurance and property taxes and sales costs? And and of course they don't put those in because it's not sexy. So you got to be aware of that.
I tell everybody too. On my first flip, I bought it for like $305 or somewhere around there. I put about 30 grand into it, and we sold it at 480. So, I mean, it seems like I made a lot more, but once you take out holding costs, realtor's commission, all of that, then it's a lot less.
Yeah, it's still a good living if you can scale it somewhat. Yeah. You don't have to. I think some people scale too big, and that's fine too if you know how to do it. But there's a happy medium. You do 1 or 2 a year, you're not going to be able to live, especially if you're doing $40,000, $50,000 each. But if you do too many, your costs go way up. You think, oh, well, if I scale, my costs will come down. It's like, that's not true because you're not involved in all the aspects. You got to pay someone to be there for you. It costs more the more you scale. But eventually there's a tipping point where you start going back up again just because based on your volume. But there's that place there where you hit about 25 or 30 flips a year where you're not making any more money than you were making if you were doing 20, or 15 or whatever. So, but it's good to learn that and realize that flipping is a job, right? It's definitely a job. Flipping is not investing. Flipping is in no way, shape, or form investing. Investing is investing. When you buy something and it goes up and you can get rent from it, that's investing. But flipping and wholesaling, not investing. It's just work. Just work. Agreed?
Active income. Yeah. Very active.
Yeah. So let's fast forward today. You're kind of over the flip thing. Still do it occasionally. But now you are doing slightly larger deals. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And what was the impetus to do that? What made you decide I don't want to make 500 or 400 grand a year anymore flipping, I would rather you take it from there because
Yeah. So right now, yeah. So right now I have 17 units, so 17 rentals altogether. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but I definitely hit my passive income goal as far as net cash flow. I hit about almost 20,000 depending, because I do have one Airbnb. So that was my goal, was to hit that 20K and then kind of slow down, the flipping, because I didn't really need it. And I think there comes a certain point on you go back to, okay, why am I doing this? Or if now I was spending 60 to 70 hours a week at my old job, but I wanted more time back, but I'm doing that, but just in a different way, then that still doesn't make sense. So I love that I have more flexibility now, but I definitely am scaling back because it was just taking over, all my day-to-day time, and then my family time too, cutting into that. So I have those rentals on my own. Then I ended up partnering on an RV park, a 48 pad site in Branson, Missouri, with another lady that I had met through a mentorship. And that's the key that I tell everybody too, is to constantly network and put yourself out there, put your goals. So last year I put my goal was to buy an RV park, and then I put it all over social media. I talked about it all the time in every mentorship group, but I didn't want to learn necessarily all the steps into buying it. I said, if anybody finds a deal, I can help raise the money or qualify. And that's what I want to do. And that's what literally happened. She was like, I have this deal, but we already have 10 Airbnbs in the area. We have no money. So if you could help me buy it or whatever, we could figure it out. So with that one, I had to get an SBA loan, and I had to personal guarantee one of my properties plus qualify using my net worth. So there's other aspects that you can bring to the deal that people don't really aren't really like mindful of. Like, okay, I still got to qualify. Oh, I still got to raise the money. Oh, all they're bringing is this much, but essentially that's what you need. And when you get into these bigger projects, the experience definitely comes into play. And then also your assets, like what are you worth, and how will these bigger projects and the banks feel comfortable with you, is showing that you have like a bigger portfolio or a net worth, or, you can back it up in case anything goes wrong. So,
yeah. So tell us a little bit about the RV park. I like RV storage. I never really thought about buying an RV park. I'm looking at several properties right now, but yeah, that's something I didn't. I mean, obviously, when you started talking about it, I looked into it a little bit, but yeah, storage is a little bit more hands off. So how is that working, and how long have you had it, and what's the upside on it?
So we just bought it in February of this year. So we just closed on it. So now we're starting we started the demo process of it because it was abandoned. So there is. Oh, wow.
So yeah, but it was licensed, it was deeded, or how did they do that in Missouri?
It's already zoned in RV zoning. And it was a previous park. They just abandoned it. So there was already a pool. We didn't have to get any permits for anything that we're doing on that property because there's already previously structures there. And the pad sites are just like dirt and then like the gravel, right? So there's not too much to that. And they already had it was connected to county water and sewer. So those are some things to be mindful for.
No way. So there's no sewage treatment plant on site. No. Good deal. Yeah, that's good.
So I liked it because it was, I already heard of mobile home parks, but for the RV park aspect, I bought a short-term rental. So I like the aspect of getting that, I guess, more money, more bang for your buck, but then making sure that it's going to be in a desirable area. So Hawaii is desirable, right? But so are other places in the U.S. So this is Branson, Missouri, in the Ozark Lakes. A lot of people go there for vacation with their family. And so my partners had already established a portfolio there, but they had never bought like an RV park before. So we kind of, they were in a mentorship. And they had learned all about it, had connections, but just kind of needed that person to qualify and raise the money or bring the money in order to purchase it. So they are managing the project. We actually cut in the contractor as well. We gave him 5% equity. He lives right next to the property as well. So he's making sure things are going with it. He has 30 years of construction experience in that market itself. So that was key. My partners actually ended up moving down to that area to oversee it as well. But they brought, minimal money to the deal. Of course, there's kind of some upfront costs and things like that. But I think we just have a really great understanding. And like I mentioned before, we talked in the beginning of whose roles are what. And I actually have majority ownership in that property. And we plan to refinance in a few years. And if it's still going well, then we'll keep the property together. If not, then we'll just sell it. So I think we have a few options.
When will it be up and running and good to go?
Probably by next summer.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. I'm excited to see how that works.
Yeah. Exciting.
Yeah.
So I do a few JV deals like that. And we just bought a 15-unit office building, me and one other partner in Kansas City, Missouri. And for that one, it was another partner. He owned 3 commercial properties in that area. We also could do a multi-use strategy where we turn the top level into like apartments. So we're still strategizing on that because there are 2 businesses that are leasing the office building right now. But I think just teaming up with people who already own property in the area, know it very well, can be boots on the ground, and can manage it has been truly a win for me. And I can, raise or bring the money. And then now getting into syndication. So 100, 200 unit multifamily deals, or I'm a co-GP, so a general partnership. And how we make the money is when we get into the deal, because usually I'm helping raise the capital. So I just started a fund as well to be able to leverage that and get into these bigger deals. But you make it on, if you're general partner, you make it on an acquisition fee. So that's how you initially get paid. Then you get the cash flow, and then you get more equity than a limited partner would. But for me, I wanted to get into these bigger types of deals because eventually I want to be a lot more hands off, and I want to be able to leverage my experience, like kind of how I am now on these smaller deals, but leverage my experience as like a key principal or something like that, where I sign on the loan and I qualify for the loan, but all the other operators do all the busy work.
Now that's cool. It's funny that I'm much older than you, but I'm looking at not doing so much. I look at the end of the week and it's like, all right, I just put in 60 hours. It's got to slow down, right? I mean, I still take a lot of vacations, and generally my weekends I don't work. But still, it's, I don't want to work that much anymore. So I've been watching you.
Well, and I like this content aspect. I mean, that's how we connected, right? Was through content and inspiring people. And I never thought that my Instagram would take off to over 100,000 followers. And
what the hell? You had no followers when I met you. I was the king.
I
was the freaking king. I was. It was like, you wanted to know me. And now it's like, Zasha, do you have time? Do you have time for Mark? Do you have time to take a phone call for Mark? No, not now.
Mark who? Mark who? No.
Yeah, I know. It hurts.
No, but it's been great. So I think I want to focus. I wanted to be more hands off because I want to focus on that aspect as far as helping people, educating people, being out there more, inspiring them. And I mean, I never wanted to be kind of a leader in the space, but that's what it's transforming to be.
Yeah,
and
for sure. You are. Oh, a lot of people look up to you. And
thank you.
I think it's important that we give back. I think definitely important that we give people the same chance that we had. And I think a lot of times people think there's not a lot of room in the pool left, right? They think that, it's so crowded. It only seems crowded in this space because people that are looking at it right now, that's all they're looking at. But if I go down 2 doors down, people don't even know what real estate investing is. I mean, they have an idea, but they don't know who we are. They don't know what's going on. They don't know that some people own rental properties and some people don't. It's not even on their radar. And so I think
when you come into that mindset of, partnerships, or how can we make this a win-win? If you're a realtor, and I'm an investor, how can we work together as far as maybe even if you sign a listing contract, bring it to me first and we can work something out that's in the best interest of the owner prior to it getting listed on the MLS, because then all the eyeballs are going to be there. Like, that one property that I bought last year was I'm not a realtor, so I don't know what you call it prior to it being listed, but they signed the contract.
So it just wasn't put on MLS yet.
Yeah, so they didn't put it on the MLS yet, but she had heard that I got like creative with deals, so that's how I'm able to, I guess, work with more sellers. And so this guy in particular, he had owned the property outright, but he signed the listing agreement with her, but he was wishy-washy on if he wanted to actually list it or not, because his wife was in some sort of hospice care. And so if he showed this huge amount of income coming in, then instead of paying $2,000 a month is what they qualified for, he would have to pay $10,000 a month. So, he was very hesitant, and I told him, hey, would he be able to do a seller financing or owner financing on it? And that way he receives a little bit a month, and then he doesn't have to worry about that. So he was an older gentleman, very confused, but they actually, for real estate agents who don't know, they have this thing called a private money mortgage or private, called I don't know. You guys have some paperwork where you can legally through the real estate association. Yeah, there's an
owner finance paper. Yeah, there is, absolutely.
So it doesn't have to be like realtors against investors. It's like there's different ways where we can work together to, one, especially if you know that I'm an active investor and I actually close, it only kind of benefit, both sides as well, to get make sure the owner is happy, make sure you still get paid, and then everybody, it all works out for everyone. So and I think that was one situation where that was key.
That's like the most ideal situation that it could be. But I think what I'm trying to do right now is teach real estate agents how to invest too, because it's so crazy that most of them don't. I know some that do, but maybe 5%, and that's it. The rest of them don't. And I think there's enough room for those folks to invest too. It's not just us. You can invest a little bit as you're becoming a real estate agent. So you've got some sort of a retirement, because there isn't one, right?
Right. Or agents could partner with an investor. Like she could have partnered with me on that deal and then kind of walk through it, because she essentially had the lead. So there's many benefits, I think, to being the first to get to the owner, and whether that be the best situation to list it or work with somebody, all kind of depends on you and your brokerage too.
And I think a lot of it has to do with like you mentioned earlier, networking. You're going to these masterminds. You go to way more than I do. I've gone to 2 in the last 3 years. Yeah. So, and you go to 2 every month, it seems like. It's like
you're always my own every week,
Yeah. Well, there's that too. I've been to that one. In fact, maybe I'll come back out and do it again. But that's the most amazing thing, though, is networking with all these people that you're going to end up doing business with, because that's how you create real wealth. You go out and meet people and you get these ideas and things happen. I mean, that's how I think most of us get our ideas too, right? We see somebody else doing something and we just want to emulate that. And a lot of times you can partner with people and actually get it done quicker. So.
Yeah, and some of the realtors that I know have been investing into my project. So you could start off by like private lending is what they call it when you invest in other people's projects. And then slowly, like I do a lend to learn type of project where I walk them through everything, every aspect of the deal, or email them weekly. Hey, this is where we're at with this project. This is what we have to deal with, the ups and downs, because that always scares people, right? Like, okay, sounds all good, but like, what are the downsides, right? So there are a lot of different decisions and different things that you go through throughout the week. So that has been beneficial to helping people, realtors, even some, escrow officers started investing with me as well, because they see it. They're in the business. So I always tell them too, the same thing like you, Mark, like, why don't you start investing? Because you get to see all the back end stuff. So you know what it takes.
Yeah. And it's not as easy as it looks, but it's also not as hard as it looks.
Right.
So once you've done it a couple of times, I always say that it doesn't get easier. You just get better at it. It's never going to be easy. It's never going to be a push button. It's there, it's done. But you just get better at it. You get better at handling the stress. You get better at handling conflict and money issues and all that stuff. And you just figure it out. Because when I met you, you were kind of just beginning, and it was, I mean, you've gone so far. You're one of a handful of people that I actually look up to now. And I say that with humility because there's not that many people that I look at and I go, yeah, I don't think they're in a good place. It looks good on Instagram,
Right.
but it's not. I don't think it's that good. But I've known you long enough, and everything you say is true and righteous, and so proud of you, and so amazed at what you've accomplished. So I
Thank you,
love
Mark.
you dearly, and value our friendship a lot.
Love you too.
So, is there a way for people to get a hold of you if they want to invest, or if they want to learn more, or whatever?
Well, I am very active on social media. My favorite platform is Instagram. That's how I met Mark. So, that's the start of it. So
I thought it was Tinder. Wasn't it Tinder we met each other? Is that Instagram?
You go. Control your mind.
She can't hear.
Invest with Zasha on Instagram.
You're
and then
red.
also
Your face is red. Your face is red. Truly is.
ZashaSmith.com. I don't use Tinder. Just like I just did a workshop, the tax auction workshop. And one of the guys who I did the presentation with, he actually had been to jail. And he's like, yeah, we went to jail. And I was like, I clarify, I never went to jail.
We went to jail. Oh, my God.
Not me.
That's presumptuous.
Right.
That's funny. But yeah, if you guys aren't following Zasha, please go do that. She puts out good material and she's real. She's actually doing what she says she's doing. That's not always the case. You'll always get the truth from us, and that's not always the case with other people. So I love what you're doing, and hopefully we'll see each other in a couple of weeks.
Yes, come back to
I will.
Hawaii. It's calling your name.
I know for sure. My place has been empty. It's probably dusty. Probably so. Anyway, thank you so much for coming on. Talk to you soon, and aloha.
Aloha.
All right, guys. Hey, guys, check out the notes down below. Zasha's contact information will be down there if you want to follow her. Also, don't forget, we have a free mini course that we're giving out. We just put it together. It's going to be down below. You can click on that, and it tells you all about how to get your first 5 investor clients if you're a real estate agent, so that you can start getting deals and start investing for yourself. So if you guys want to do that, click on that, download it. It's amazing. I know it is because I did it. And Justin edited it and made me look good. Took out all the ahs, ands, and ums. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoy that. And Zasha, thank you so much again for being on here. I will talk to you very soon.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.